Green Innovative Project financing is one of the biggest challenges that you face. So before I enter into these more financial issues, here there is a bit of a presentation on what you need. I don't know how familiar you are with the Innovation Fund. The application is quite complex, quite long, and as Kostis was saying, start immediately. The deadline is tomorrow, basically, even if you have to submit your application by 23rd of April at 5 p.m. It's quite a complex application, and what we recommend, also in the help desk, I don't know if you got it, there is an help desk ongoing, open for you. If you have questions, you can submit the questions in this help desk, which is an online, you send an email, and there is a team of people preparing answers to your questions. So we are trying to help as much as possible the applicants to make sense of the complexity of the application and the requirements. So don't shy away from submitting. I am Italian from Trieste. I know the culture that we have in this part of the world, that we are always doing our best in our little office. We submit and we cross our fingers for luck. But no, in this case there is an interaction with the team there that you can really benefit from. So, because it's so complex, we have put some page limit to the application. It seems an indicative limit, but no, it's actually quite a reason to be excluded and to be considered not admissible. So pay attention to the page limit of your various components of the application. The application form part B is actually one of the key points where you are putting the narrative of your project in all various elements. It has to be up to 70 pages. And there are some other key, do we have a pointer? Yeah, we do. So another key part of the application is what goes under relevant cost calculator, financial information file. This is the financial model based on our template of your project. So part B, key. Everything is necessary, everything is key. But most important, pay attention to publication 4B, to relevant cost calculator, to the guide, timetable, to the feasibility study, business plan, detailed financial model, project schedule, financial resources, term of supply. Why? All these elements have to be consistent. Sometimes while you are developing an application, some things are more progressed, some issues are less progressed. Sometimes you have different people looking at different parts of the application, and then unfortunately some applications lack consistency. And they lose scores, and therefore the application doesn't get financed. So please pay attention to these elements and the consistency. Here it's how to apply. I will not get into the details, but just for you to know, we have recorded a number of tutorials. Get a big carafe of coffee and put yourself in front of the PC. They are quite long, but they are really, we made an effort to be as helpful as possible in explaining how to fill up the application. I would say they are not banal. They can be really helpful. They are a bit long, so as I said, a good carafe of coffee, and you are ready for the challenge. Here, okay, in addition to what I've said before, because as you know, the big rationale of the Innovation Fund is to reduce CO2 emissions. So GHG methodology and GHG calculation are also extremely important. They have to be, there is a huge methodology, it's not complex, so it's not easy, sorry. So it's better that you start as soon as possible and you get help on the GHG calculation as well as on the relevant cost calculator. Start as soon as possible to see if you get a chance, if you are eligible, if there is the preliminary results of your GHG analysis allows you to say that you are saving a good amount of emissions, and the relevant cost calculator allows you to say, yes, I have a relevant cost, out of which I can ask up to 60% as a grant amount. Sometimes there are projects where the relevant costs are negative, because some projects, for some specific reasons, they are profitable and they don't need a de-risking support like the Innovation Fund grant. If your relevant costs are negative, better not to approach the Innovation Fund because you don't have a ground for a grant, right? So we advise, applicants to start immediately on the relevant cost calculator to check if there is a scope for them to apply under the Innovation Fund. And exactly what I was saying here, the first phase after you submitted the application is for us to go through the admissibility and eligibility criteria. So you have to submit on time, that's almost the case for all the EU funding instruments. You have to include all the mandatory annex and supporting documents. Pay attention between what is mandatory and what is supporting documents. We have slightly changed the mandatory requirement this year, so go to the code text of this year and compare the notes. The application has to be readable, accessible, and printable. It seems silly, but sometimes when you have such a large file, PDF, uploading, downloading, it can happen that unfortunately when we open the application, it is not readable fully, it is not printable, it is not accessible, and we have to exclude it. And respect the page limit, I already mentioned that. When we move, once the project is considered admissible, then we go into the eligibility, and the eligibility, the key principles are that it should be a legal entity to apply. It has to be the project located in the EEA, while the applicant can be located everywhere in the world. The project must reach financial close within 4 years. I will explain later what we mean by financial close, but certainly if it's final investment decision plus, right, plus the number of targets, and it has to be operated at least for 5 years after entry into operation. For the pilots and the small scale, 3 years. Nevertheless, the financial projections are linked to the economic life of the project. So, financial projections in the financial model, whatever is your economic life, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, depending on your project. But years of operation under the Innovation Fund, at least 5 years, except for pilots and small scale, where they can be in operation for 3 years. What does it mean this? It means that, as you remember, Kostas mentioned that a part of the grant has to be distributed after entry into operation. This means that you can get this, you will be monitored by CINEA on the emission target that you have anticipated, because the grant is also linked to the emission target that you yourself established for your project. And the grant can be distributed across 5 years after entry into operation, part of it, or across 3 years for pilots and small scale. Why insist on this? Because in this innovative green project, it can make a big difference in terms of financial modeling. So pay attention to this aspect. And of course, as I said, the relevant cost, the grant of the Innovation Fund is maximum 60%. Sometimes we have to declare some applications ineligible because they ask for a grant which is higher than 60% of the relevant cost. So it's a very basic requirement, but still, probably because they didn't have enough funding, we don't know exactly why, but we have to declare sometimes applications ineligible because they ask for more of what the call text says, 60% of relevant cost maximum. And of course, the project has to refer to eligible activities. This is, in a nutshell, is the evaluation timeline. As you said, as you know, publication was on 4th of December, closing is 23rd April, 5 p.m. We will be undergoing an evaluation between April and October 26. Is managed by CINEA under the supervision of CLIMA, but is actually implemented by independent experts. So it's not us evaluating directly the proposals. We expect results in Q4 26, and in March 27 we expect the grant agreement signature with those projects that will be awarded.